Well, hello there, Internet. Whew. I'm a little nervous about this, I'm not gonna lie. Um, so, uh, uh, yeah. Anyway, so my brain kind of cracked open everything wide open, Mega Man lore-wise, a little while ago. Um, Let me introduce myself first, just because I, yeah. Okay, so obviously my name is Wolf Shadow. I am going based on my old role-playing and Maverick Huntering experience. For those of you who are not too familiar with me, I've been here for a long time as a Mega Man fan, a very long time. Um, so long story short, effectively, uh, so if you saw X tries his luck again, that was mine. If you enjoyed Command Mission E3 version, that was me and a friend. Um, we're the ones who got that out there, and yeah, like a few other things. But yeah, essentially. So I don't know how this. Well, I know how this happened, but uh, essentially, I'm gonna cut to the chase here. So apparently, my brain decided to go galaxy brain mode. Uh, this is after a really, really rough personal year and a half, 2 years or so for me. Um, Lost a lot of people, and just kind of went hermit mode, I guess, because obviously, I'm an American and things are not okay here in my country right now. Um, so, yeah, I don't know how well this is going to go over. We'll see. I might continue doing these because there's a lot more that I've figured out. This is just the starts of it. But yeah. But long story short, I've been in this fandom for a very long time. I've been active since pretty much the internet was a thing. I cut my teeth in Mega Man X roleplay on AOL as a teenager, going into young adulthood. That will eventually start being things that I'll talk about here. But right now, this one is more or less about, well, I kind of cracked open the lore to the Mega Man series more than I ever thought. I've always said to people that, that Capcom doesn't really come out and tell us a lot of stuff. They breadcrumb. And I always knew that that was the case, but I didn't think I was going to be so spot on, and this kind of all started clicking together for me, and here I am. I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I don't think people are ready for this. I don't know. We'll see. So this is a PowerPoint, effectively, well, not really a PowerPoint. I don't use Microsoft products for that kind of thing. I refuse. So yeah, I'm gonna go onwards. So this is the first one. This one is Deadpool is wrong. Every single one of the boys in the X series is a classic era bot. Every single one. And I'm going to prove it. So a few things before we start. How I determine what's canon and what's not. Obviously, this is very debatable, but I'm going to explain why I consider some things canon. Obviously, as far as I'm concerned, if it comes from Capcom in any way, shape, or form, such as the manga or certain games or anything like that, really, I consider it canon. The only things that I really don't consider are, for example, the Brazilian comic. There's a few things where it's it's a little, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but for the most part, I'm pretty comfortable with, stuff like the X mangas and stuff like that being considered canon. I'm going to explain that, for example, because a lot of people I've seen are like, oh, the manga's not canon. Yes, it is. And I'm going to prove it. So, for example, the X3 manga. Now, mind you, I've seen the X mangas. I obviously went back and the first translations I read were very, very, not so great, and they were very sparse. Like, pages were not translated. Like, you could not read the entire chapters. Some people didn't get things done for years. So, it's been a few years since I've really gone through the manga again, and I'm in the process of going through them again now. But it's effectively X3 here. X ends up dying at the very end. He's at the end of the manga, like, he's witnessed Doppler dying. Doppler sacrificed himself to not allow Sigma to continue to use him as a weapon. So Kane's upset. X and Murdy, she's the mermaid girl. But everybody's upset because Doppler effectively just sacrificed himself, and X is literally on a warpath, like, fully intent on dying and taking Sigma with him. However, Sigma wins and actually ends up killing X. Like, the image on the left is literally X's life flashing before his eyes as he's literally dissolved. And then it says X has lost his body on the very next page. And then, essentially, the manga explains that even though X's body is gone, his heart is going to recover as that particular program, survived. And I can't show too much of this because this is literally a baby nursing from its mother. Mega Man X with plenty of that. Wasn't expecting that. So that's effectively like literally, as this is like X becoming reborn in this thing, and he's literally looking at the entire history of the entire world as it's happening. It's such a crazy ass scene, and then when he's resurrected, he's back as gold third armor. So yeah, but that's effectively why I consider it canon. Because look at this, like, when I noticed this, because I completely forgot about the heart program part of it when I was going through the English translations the first time, just completely, forgot about it. And then I was rereading them again, and I was like, oh my god. Command mission. The little X heart that X can get, that only he can use. It's literally a manga reference. And that is an official game, guys. So that means that the manga is considered canon. And there's another part, and we're going to get to that. So that's why I consider, Moto-san's manga, most stuff, if it comes or, has been at least authorized by Capcom for the most part, I generally consider it canon. Very few things I don't. So I'm going to expose a few things. All three of the boys, X0 and Axel, all have numbers that are associated with them. They all have astrological size. My god, I'm getting tongue-tied. And that I'm going to prove. How robots have birthdays, I don't know, but hey. And then various tidbits from the entirety of the saga, proving that this is who they are. And then, like X's little heart program, there's going to be other things I'm going to discuss. So we're going to get into it. So, starting right off, Mega Man 9. Mega Man 9 discusses the expiration dates, and that's why the robots revolt, because Wily convinces them that they should live. But it's also Capcom's way, like I said, they breadcrumb, why we don't see any of the other classic era bots in the X series aside. There's one part of PlayStation X3 of him in I believe it's Volt Catfish's little anime intro. So Otto is still around, but we don't see anybody else, and that's very important. 10, Mega Man 10 obviously is Robo-Enza, and that is effectively, showing us Wily's starting to play around with computer viruses and, the starts of the Maverick virus. That's because it's very important to Zero's personal storyline. And then Mega Man 11, Yeah, Mega Man 11 is all about Axel. Believe it or not. And again, I know that's gonna be a to quote Ego Raptor, this is gonna blow some minds. So X is rock, and this is confirmed via several sources. And I'm gonna do a full, depending on how this goes over, I'm gonna do a full introspective on X later. But for now, like I said, Capcom breadcrumbs their stuff. They don't really come out and say a lot. But so you have to kind of take clues and hints. So, but let me get to how I know that X is actually rock. So this is again the manga. This is the second Maverick that X is taking on. This is Spark Mandrill, of course. He gets hit with the shotgun ice, as he should be. That is his weakness. And he realizes that he just got hit by shotgun ice. And then he starts putting 2 and 2 together. And as you can see, he does not take it very well. Like, he even gets to the point where, like, once he realizes that X is actually rock, and he even begs X to spare him, that he'll help him go and kill Sigma. And then Sigma kills him, but, if you didn't see that part in the manga, now you do. Not to mention, there's another part here, like right after that. X is like, oh yeah, wait, didn't Zero mention something about this? And it's like, I don't know if Zero knows or realizes that he's Blues, but I think he might, because pretty sure he at least knows who X is. I don't know if he remembers being Blues, but I'm pretty sure he's aware of who X is. I don't know why everybody's keeping X in the dark, but whatever. But by the end of the first manga, the humans and all the Mavericks have started to realize that X is actually rock. And including Vile. So anyway, this is also confirmed via Legacy Collection. Identity Erased and Defrag Complete are both effectively confirming that Dr. Light erased X's memories of him being rock to protect him from the expiration date laws that are discussed in Mega Man 9. So that's kind of your other nod that he's the same guy. That's a canon game, guys. That is a collection. That's an achievement. I don't know what else that could possibly mean, especially considering the manga. And then there's other things. Oh, wait till we get to Zero. Anyway, so X's birthday, obviously, is based on the Mega Man 1 release day of December 17th. That means he's a Sagittarius. For a while there, I would always consider September 18th to be X's birthday because, for a while, a lot of us have been told that, oh no, X and Rock are completely different people. Hence the thumbnail, guys. But Deadpool's wrong. And, but we're going to look at everything. So, for example, and I know this is a weird, but I have no other point of reference on, I think I have no other point to say. I think this is probably what it is. So remember, December 17th. As somebody who lives in America, and particularly in the Northeast, yeah, December means snow. So happy birthday, Mega Man. It's snowing at the start of the episode. This is the very start of the episode. This is the Palace of Power. This is where the N Team live. And you don't see him, but down at the doorway, Mega Man is literally pacing because he's guarding the door. Because the N Team has given him a little bit of a white lie of, oh, our security system's down and we need to get it fixed. Can you go outside and guard the door just in case? Yeah, that's going to be actually kind of important because it's Mega Man's birthday. So it ends up being a big little trick, and once Mega Man's in on it, that it's, the whole guard the door thing was actually just to get him out while they got the room set for his birthday party. He's complaining outside, though. He wants to be human. He's like complaining because it's so cold. He's like, they wouldn't do this to me if I was human like they are. Like, he's literally complaining about it. And we get to his birthday wishes. He wants to be alive. He wants to be human like the N Team are. And I figured that might actually be worthwhile bringing up, because one, it's snowing, and that definitely confirms the whole December birthday thing. But also, X's heart, both referenced in the manga and command mission. Mega Man does get his heart at the end of this episode. You end the episode, you literally hear his heart beating. He's all excited. He's like, can you guys hear it? I've got a heart. I'm alive. And he's all freaked out. He's all happy about it. So, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not Capcom, but I think that might be in on it. And then, case in point, I went and looked up when this episode actually originally aired, and it aired December 2nd of 89. Now, Mega Man 1 had just released 2 years prior, and in the episode, Dr. Light mentions that, you know, Mega Man's only 3, and he is acting like a very entitled child, I'll tell you that. He storms off when he's introduced to Mega Girl, who's the pink and white, long blonde-haired female robot there in that little thumbnail. And he's all angry. He's like, I don't want a friend like me. I want to be human. He's obsessed with being human. And yeah, so I think especially video games take a while to develop. So I got a feeling that maybe that's considered, you know, they had the game in development for maybe about a year. The game has been out for 2 years at this point, almost 2 years. So that's why he's 3. That's my headcanon. Again, I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm not Capcom. Anyway, moving on, the horoscopes. So each one of the boys have a birthday. It's going to be related to when we first got introduced to them as a fandom. And every sign has an element. This is just typical horoscope stuff. But I'm going to show this has meaning too, as weird as it is. So X being December 17th, he's a Sagittarius. Third Deacon, you guys can look that up. He's fire type, obviously, or fire element for his astrological sign. That is based on the original Mega Man and Mega Man X release dates in Japan. And possible Virgo rising, because September 18th does run into Virgo. And that's from the warning text in X1. Zero is September 28th, which means he's a Libra. First Deacon, he's an air sign, which this is again based on the Mega Man 3 release date. Possible Taurus rising, because Mega Man 0 release date in Japan was April 24th. People that, I don't know much about the Zero series, so people that, you know more about that would be able to tell me if, like, you know, okay, yeah, that fits. Axel is March 24th. He's an Aries, First Deacon, and he is also a fire sign. Both Sagittarius and Aries are fire signs. Ask me how I know. Both my actual bio sister and myself are both Sagittarius and an Aries. I'm an Aries. My sister's a Saggy. So this is a mix I'm familiar with. So this is based on Mega Man 7's Japanese release date, and possible Leo rising, because ZXA follows Model A, which is definitely clearly Axel, and that is released on July 12th. And I think, honestly, out of the three of them, X and Axel make the most sense. I don't know much about Tauruses or Libras, but I know a lot about Aries and Virgo. I am married to a Virgo, and I'm an Aries, and I have a sister that's a Saggy, and I have a mother that's a Leo, so I am very familiar with fire signs and Virgos because of my life. So anyway, moving on. Command Mission is probably one of the better places to confirm that their horoscope signs matter. So if you look at Command Mission, we've got the X-Fire, or Crossfire is how it's supposed to be pronounced. Because, again, in Japan, when they have an X, a lot of the time that can also be translated to cross. For example, Project Cross Zone. It's spelled out PXE, but the X is meant to say cross, so it's meant to say Crossfire. That's the name of the armor. And then, of course, his ultimate armor. So Crossfire automatically gives X fire as his base element. So he gets healed by fire, and he deals fire damage when he's using the Crossfire armor. Also, the ultimate armor, I mean, look at him. He's armed to the teeth and guns. He's got a lot of quote-unquote firepower. So I think that's probably the point of, yeah, he's a Saggy. Zero being that Black Zero and Absolute Zero are his forms of command mission. When he equips Black Zero, he actually gains defense from fire, which is X's element, because you can't have a fire without air. And then Absolute Zero gives him ice as his element. However, Libra's an air sign, but he flies. He's got massive bat wings. And then you gotta consider what you see in clouds, which is hail and snow and ice, and that's probably why he's got ice as his type. Can't really have air isn't an element that you can really use in command mission, so that's probably why they went the way they did. And then Axel doesn't really have his element of fire represented in command mission, and I think that this is because of his action trigger. He has the shapeshift ability, so that means that depending on what prior Maverick from the game that he uses that action trigger on, he gets to enable that element. Like all of them have some form of element base with them, except for I think Incentus, because Incentus like has all of them. So I think that's probably they didn't do that because that would probably make Axel a little bit too OP. But if you look at his personality, he's an Aries, and as an Aries myself, now I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm not as bold as the typical Aries, but we can be headstrong and quite honestly a little reckless, and that definitely sounds a lot like Axel. Plus, again, he uses guns, fire power, so yeah. Moving on. Now, this took a while to find. Back when the 35th anniversary, I think it was the 35th anniversary, Capcom had a little pop-up store in Japan, and they had, you know, Mega Man stuff that you could buy, and then they had this whole little chart explaining, you know, the lore that doesn't get discussed in the games. Like, as we've seen with Mega Man 11, Dr. Light and Dr. Wily were classmates in college. They both created Proto Man together. Obviously, Wily used Proto as the reference for Zero. I don't really think it's much of a reference, but obviously all this other stuff. So take a good look at this graph. I effectively remade it because I had to go to Wayback Machine to get the original, and it was very fuzzy and hard to read. So I just said, screw it, I'm just going to make a new one, and here it is. And the data missing thing, honestly, I think this might be Axel's data. They just haven't figured it out or published that yet. And I, again, nervous, because, oh boy, this is going to blow some heads. So yeah, this is kind of like our, explaining. I want to definitely bring line to, Wily died at the same time as the Zero project was completed, and then he died midway through the Virus project. So, that explains a few things. Zero got infected at the lab, and since he was already the most evil robot by design, the virus turned him good, which explains why he gets stronger when he gets the virus in X5, which we all know leads into X and Zero fighting. So anyway, moving on. So Zero is blues. You know the drill. Here we go. So as I just showed with the graph, Dr. Light and Dr. Light and Dr. Wily made blues together. That's why over the course of the classic, Blues actually does occasionally help Wily, because he sees Wily as much as the father as he does Dr. Light. They're both his dads. And then plus Proto's number of 000 for his DLN number. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where Wily got the name Zero. Also, this would possibly hint at the idea that Wily and Light were possibly besties, maybe even romantic partners. I don't know. That might get some people in the fandom with up in a knot, but I mean, the whole, you know, that's a possibility. I don't know. Until we get word of God, we don't know. But this, once we started connecting the dots and realizing, this was like, oh my God, how did I not notice this any sooner? Like, we go from a shield to a sword. he's always been a melee fighter. He's never really been a big buster user, and this explains it so hard it's not even funny. And then he even dies in the same ways. Look at this. This is Rockman and Forte, or Mega Man and Bass. He gets lobbed in half at the beginning of the intro stage. And then look at X Games. He dies the same way. He dies the same way. It's ridiculous. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. It's like, poor Zero. Always losing his butt. Always losing his ass. And then his personality, like, shows. Like, you get to the end of Mega Man 9 here, and Blue shows up trying to warn Rock not to trust Wily about the sick Dr. Light that's in the cage, because, you know, he doesn't want to see Rock get hurt, but obviously Rock doesn't listen and goes ahead and checks anyway and gets shocked and, you know, nearly dies and gets rescued at the last second by Blues again, who even's like, guess you need my help again, because, you know, like, Rock's just like, oh, I'm glad that wasn't Dr. Light, but oh, the poor robot. Like, the castle's literally collapsing. He's going to die. Like, if Blues didn't show up, he would have been dead. We wouldn't even have had a Mega Man X game. So, thank you, Blues. Thank you, Zero. We get to Command Mission, and this plays out again. We get to the start of Chapter 6. We've just gotten Zero back, and Zero is so pissed off at X for befriending people like a thief and a mercenary and a wannabe hero, along with some of the other people that he's collaborating with. And he's like, nope, that's it. I am not dealing with these people. These are the dregs. Like, Massimo and Spider are right there and can hear him. And Zero's just literally insulting them right there in front of their faces, and then walks off. It's like, if that doesn't scream that he's like, nope, this is, you cannot trust people like this, X. I am done. I'm going to walk alone. I'm going to go do this myself. You know, and he storms off. And I'm just like, holy crap. They are the same guy. There's no way. And then, moving on, Axel is Forte. And this is going to blow people's proportions, and this is where I get the most nervous. Because I might be uncovering things that I think are meant for future games. And Capcom, please don't kill me. I'm so sorry that my brain went Galaxy mode. But anyway, so I was playing through Legacy Collection and just looking through, like, the artwork in the gallery sections, and I came across this art of Axel. And this is an actual me, because this is me spazzing and showing my spouse when I put two and two together. So this is a concept art of Axel from X7 Dev. It is in Legacy Collection. You can go look at it. And like I've said, I've been in this fandom since before the internet. I was cutting my teeth as a Maverick Huntress on AOL as a teenager in high school. So I've had some unique situations and stuff, but we'll just say that I recognized Axel's core in his back, and I was just like, huh, there's 6 little screws. And so 6 is a really important number to me. My character wears that on her shirt. And it's my favorite number. But also, I don't talk about this very often, but X's current voice actor, Ted Soroka, actually followed me on Twitter a couple years ago. And when I went to go check, ironically enough, I was the 6th Mega Man person he had ended up following, which was really funny. And then, also, X1 came out 6 years after Mega Man 1. Exactly 6 years to the day. And I'm just like, I'm not okay with this number that I associate with so heavily, all of a sudden having a lot of links to my favorite series. So, yeah, that's kind of like, huh. But that's kind of what really started making all of this click for me. So, but a core is effectively a Reploid heart. That is what we see, like, in the X3 manga. That's effectively, you know, how X rebuilds himself after he gets destroyed. But also, like, some of the older Bandai model kits from, like, the late 90s and stuff, they all have a core underneath the armor on the little, like, kind of like the how they look without the armor. Like, obviously they probably have, you know, bodysuits and stuff. That's clearly shown on the manga, but whatever. Anyway, moving on. This is kind of what keyed me in. This caught my eye, and it made it start to click. So the red and blue. I don't know if my mouse is getting caught, but there's a little blue circle here, and there's a little red circle here at Axel's core. And then, look, he's got a gear symbol around the edges of this crystal over his core. That is the double gear system, guys. And then once that started clicking, it made sense, because if you look at Mega Man 11 and what happens to Rock when he equips a weapon from a Robot Master in 11, he actually starts assimilating how that Robot Master looked a little bit. Gee, what does Axel do? He shapeshifts. He assumes the physical form of the characters or the other Reploids and other robots that he defeats. And then I went and I noticed his head in this little concept art, and there's a little bit of blue hidden underneath this yellow thing, or this red thing. And then there's these white parts right here, and it's like, oh my god, is that where the fins from Base's helmet used to attach, and they just kind of got ripped off? And what's up with this weird gash in his head? It's like, and then I thought, X4, you know, we see Zero's intro movie, and he's got blood all over his hands. I think I know whose blood that is, and I wonder if maybe Forte didn't try to stop Zero from potentially murking Wily when he woke up, considering that Wily died pretty much as soon as the Zero project was completed. I wonder why he died pretty much as soon as the Zero project completed. So once you start digging, it becomes a lot more obvious too, because then once you realize, oh my god, there's the link, Rockman and Forte and Mega Man 10. You know, games where you can play as Base or Forte. He shoots in 8 directions. So does Axel. And, like, both of them also have to stop and shoot. They cannot run and shoot like X can. They have to stop. So that just confirms it even more. And then when you get into the colors that Capcom chooses to use to represent them in Legacy Collection, because, like, this kind of made me wonder about it, because in X8, Axel's power-ups are represented by purple. In Legacy Collection, they change it to this weird yellowy orange color. Like, I saw that, I was like, huh, why is he, like, orange? Like, this isn't Sonic the Hedgehog. This isn't Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. Why is he's not orange. Like, he's got orange hair, but that's about it. Like, there's not any orange on him. Why is he represented by orange? And then I realized, Mega Man 10, look at Base's power-ups. They are black and that same color orange. That's why. Because it's hinting that he's actually Forte. And then, another indication of why the manga should be considered canon. This is Green Biker Dude. In the manga, he does not die on the bike. He gets shot down by a fellow hunter that defects in the 17th unit with him. But this is Green Biker Dude. His real name is Boy. And look at his helmet compared to Axel's. Tell me I am wrong. I'll wait. And I think this also explains, because I always, when I got to this point in X7, I'm like, why is X being such a jerk to Axel? X is like one of the sweetest characters I could possibly think of, and he's being an absolute douche-canoe. And now it makes sense, because Axel probably reminded him of Boy, or Green Biker Dude. And he didn't want to lose somebody that reminded him so much of somebody that he's probably still feels guilty losing. Like, he was a fresh captain. That was probably his first casualty from his unit. Like, that probably absolutely killed him. Like, if you read the X2 manga, like, when Heel, the other 17th unit member, kills Boy here, like, X has his Buster permanently disabled. He removes the disabling thing. He's got, like, this little wristlet on his Buster that prevents him from using it. He destroys that thing to kill Heel because he's so pissed off at him for killing Boy. Like, he does not play around. And as somebody who grew up with X, literally, as somebody that was not just somebody in a video game, but somebody I had to interact with on a regular basis, that is how he is. You don't want to piss X off. Ever. X pissed off is a scary thing. Legit. Like, oh boy, we could be here for a while if I got into my stories of growing up as a Maverick Huntress. Even if it was a roleplay. But I think that's why X treats him like such garbage in X7. And then it goes even deeper than that. Because if you look at ZXA, obviously that is clearly about Axel's biometal, Model A. But then you get to the end of the game and it's called Model Albert. Albert's Wily's first name. So if Axel's forte, that explains why. He's Albert Wily's creation. Hence why Model Albert, not Model A or Model Axel. And that gets further proven when you look back at X8. Lumine makes this comment that, all of we new Gen Mavericks can go we can go Maverick at will. We don't need to worry. We don't need a virus. We can just decide we want to. It's because they all use the double gear. That's why. Double gear is Wily's system. That's how they are able to shapeshift. And as we see with X2, like, Surges is supposed to be Wily inhabiting a Reploid body. Isaac at X6, same thing. And then he just kind of clonks over dead because Wily leaves, effectively. And Zero's, like, walking and looks at the corpse of Isaac and is like, huh, that's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, it's kind of weird because that was one of your dads. The guy who made you who you are. But, so yeah, that's that. And, it's just, it makes so much more sense. And it's just like, and then you go and you think too, it's like, oh God, like at the end of X8, that weird purple tentacle thing that lashes out and whacks Axel in the helmet gem. And then there's that little purple sparkle at the end. I can guarantee you that that is evil energy linked to the Maverick virus. I can guarantee that might even be Wily's ghost. Because I'll bet even money that he's got his personality or his mind uploaded as part of the Maverick virus. I don't know. But I got a feeling that might... that's my headcanon. That's my hypothesis. That's my guess. Obviously, I'm not Captain. ZXA2 or ZX3 or whatever hasn't come out, and neither has X9, so I don't flippin' know. But, yeah. So, moving on. This is going to be the last section. This is why the numbers are important. So, X's number that's important to him is 10. There's a couple of reasons. Obviously, binary code is ones and zeros. As one of my friends discussed, when you get 10, when you get 10 in binary, it comes out as 1010. That is the binary for 10. Might be a little bit of a reach, but obviously X being 10 in Roman numerals. He is the main character. He's number 1, but he's been multiplied because he's stronger. And, I mean, Dr. Light did take his kids that he named after music references and then changed the math problems. And then math problem reference again. Algebras often asks you to find X. So, yeah. 0 is represented by 3 because we get introduced to him in Mega Man 3 as Blues, but then, you know, obviously we know about him in X1 because he is Blues. He's the oldest of the 3 of them. But we don't get to start actually playing with him until X3. So that's why that's clearly intentional. And then last one, Axel's important number to him is 7. Same thing. We get introduced to him as base or forte, depending on what version you prefer in Mega Man 7. Once we get to the X series, we get reintroduced to him again as Axel in X7. So that's another very clear, intentional choice by Capcom. So, that being said, There we go. So, yeah, that's that. I don't know how or why. Well, I do know some things. Why this all happened. But that is for another video. That's for another time. Close friends, no. But it's not something I'm really willing to discuss here at this point. But, oh boy, alright. Tell me what y'all think.